Hey, hey, did you know there was a third Fly movie? There was. I didn't know about that either. I know about it now. I'm Cameron Rice. This is Cameron Watches Movies. I'm watching Curse of the Fly. No Jack and Coke this week, baby. Pumpkin ale. Halloween. Hey everybody, welcome. My name's Cameron Rice. This is Cameron Watches Movies. This is my Blu-ray collection. I watch them. I pick them. I bought a lot of these over the years. Some of them I never opened. Some of them were in box sets, so I never actually saw all the films that were in said box sets. That's what we're dealing with today. I bought the Fly box set from Shout Factory last year, and there was a third Fly movie, Curse of the Fly, for those who don't know. So Curse of the Fly comes out in the 60s, where the original Fly was in the 50s. The interesting thing about this one is also this was a British production, whereas the original two Fly films were American productions, and also in color. This is in black and white, and they tried to fancy it up a little bit. So how does this open? Glass shatters. Just this glass just spilling. Spilling out of the frame. This woman peeks her head out and she's smiling. This is Patricia. This is our lead of the film. And she jumps out the window. My God, no, don't worry. It's only on the first story. In her underwear. It's the 60s, so it's these big bloomers, big diaper looking underwears, but you know what, she's still looking good, man. She's running in slow motion. It's Baywatch in the 60s. She's running slow motion through the woods. Where is she escaping from? What is she doing? We're gonna find out. We find out pretty quickly as she gets to a big gate. It's an insane asylum. My God, she's crazy. She's a crazy person. She's escaping from an insane asylum. What did she do? Did she murder somebody? Did she what happened? Was she put in there? What's going on? We're gonna find out. Howling gourds. And that's when we meet the other lead of the movie. This man is driving down the road. He sees Patricia running across the street in her underwear. He drives up and he goes, hey lady, what's going on? In a very 60s but he's like, ma'am, are you all right? Can I help you? What do you need? She doesn't answer at first, so he's like, all right, well, I'll leave you alone. He turns around, goes back to his car, and she goes, who are you? And he goes, I'm Martin. I'm Martin DeBruno? How do you say his last name? Of these characters. They're in Canada. We have a big reveal about that because it's all about, he's like, I was going to go to Montreal. She's like, well, that's where I was going to go to. He's like this.
Who are you?
Martin Delambre.
Where are you going?
Montreal.
Oh, that's where I wanted to go.
Like that? Oh, I'm sorry. It's none of my business.
Do you want me to call anybody? Family, friends? She's like, oh, no. And he goes, well, we could go somewhere and pick up your clothes. She's like, well, we cannot. I need to go. And he's like, okay. It's Martin Delambre. I looked it up. Delambre, which is the name of the main character from the first Fly movie. Hold on a minute. So this character, Martin, is the grandson of this character. FYI, The Fly, the first one's a contemporary movie. It takes place in the 50s. This is the adult grandson. So when does this movie take place? Is this the 60s or 1999? No, when is this though? Like, listen, this is my thing. This is the only thing. Like, look, I'm not gonna get on this movie for not predicting Hammer Pants or the cassette tape or anything like that. Why would, if you're gonna make this the adult grandson of the adult character from a movie that's 10 years old, are you setting this in the future? Why not make it more crazy and futuristic? It can't just be that it's futuristic because they have the teleportation machine. The 50s one, that was already a contemporary movie, so I don't know when this movie takes place. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It didn't bother me terribly. I'm just saying, you could have put it in the future. That would have been kind of cool. So these two, they go to Canada. They're in Canada. They go to Montreal. Nice, not a whirlwind romance, but they both have secrets. They won't tell each other things. And she's all like, I can't tell you who I am, but I can tell you that my family, I don't have family or friends, but I cannot tell you where I come from. And he goes, oh, I got some things too. We go, shush. So they go on dates, they go on picnics. It's a beautiful thing, and they decide, let's get married, but let's also keep our secrets. And they're both of them are like, this is fantastic. Yes, let's do that. Whirlwind. It's a whirlwind romance. And then that's when Martin gets sick. He's taken over by a sickness. He collapses onto a car.
Martin, what's the matter? Are you ill?
No, I'm all right, but better get back.
And she's like, what's wrong? He's like, we just need to hurry, get me out of here. And that's when we find out Martin, this is the curse of the fly. Martin becomes a prune man. Becomes an oldie prune boy. It's that's what happens. He doesn't become a fly, he becomes a prune. But he injects himself with this serum and he's like, I'm okay, I'm alive. And she's like, oh, but she doesn't know about this. Again, these are the secrets that he's keeping. And then when we meet Martin's father and his brother Alfred, they keep calling him Alfred Delambre. They are in London because they have used the teleportation machine. It is successful, but there are some setbacks, you see. There are setbacks. So it is a successful machine. The elder Delambre was able to get from Canada to England, but there were some complications. Mainly the complications. No, he doesn't become a fly. His back gets very burnt.
Last week, you and Martin teleported me from Quebec to London. Is that failure?
Why can't I make you understand? Look at your body. Do you call that success?
And that's it. That's the complication. But goddammit, he's dead set. This is going to change the world. It's going to change the world. We must have the teleportation machine. It must work. And Alfred's like, Dad, you're gonna kill yourself. You got to think about what you're doing. So so Martin Delambre calls us home, and that's when we meet Ty, the Asian servant. Okay, look, listen. Can't defend this, and it's not defendable. This was a cliche back in the day with movies like this, you know. But here's the thing I will say though, and I'll give it this. I'm not defending it, but I'll give it this. You very easily could have had a lot more cliche in this. The Asian servant was a huge thing in the 50s and 60s cinema novels. Bruce Lee started off in The Green Hornet. You have Wong from the creation of Doctor Strange. They've changed that since then to some extent. But that's a cliche. It's a gross cliche. But I'm not trying to hold a movie from the 60s to the contemporary times, but it's worth noting. And here's the thing, it could have been worse. Ty seems to be a very smart character. They don't give him an accent for comedic purposes. Good job.
Oh, would you just put them on the bed?
Who are you?
How do you do? I'm Mrs. Delambre.
I know.
My name is Wang.
Oh no. Oh no. Juan. Oh boy. Yeah, they yellowface. They did yellowface. They did it. They take back all I said about this movie. At least it could have been worse. It got worse. And the problem is you can't talk about this movie and not talk about Juan, not because you're also trying to ignore it, but because the character is so prominent throughout the movie. You just have to keep talking about Juan. And so, yeah, Juan is here. This is a white actress, and they put her in makeup. Oh. Again, old movies, they did a lot of things. Ooh, this is the problem. It stands out even more, though, because you have an Asian actor right there. Why not cast an Asian actress? I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't know the whys. I know they filmed this in London. I'm pretty sure there were probably some Asian actresses in London who could have done this part. This is not what the whole video is going to be about. But again, you got to talk about these things. You just. So that's when we meet the detective. We meet the detective character in this film and the mental hospital owner. And this is when we find out why it was that Patricia went into the mental hospital. What did she do?
A few weeks before she was to make her concert debut, her mother died suddenly.
When was this?
About a year ago. Without the mother's strength, Patricia became almost helpless. On the night of her first concert, she never got any further than the dressing room. She became a child again. They found her on the floor, weeping hysterically.
And it was then she was committed to your institution.
Shortly afterwards.
So her mom died, and she was very upset about it. That's what she did. Get her in the hospital. No time for grief. You don't have time for grief. You need to buck up. buck up, kiddo. You get your grief out of here. We'll put you in a mental hospital. Brutal. But anyway, so that's the character's big secret. They're in a mental hospital because their mom died, and they were sad about it, very sad, and couldn't perform for a bit. Now there's a detective in this movie. So Patricia and Martin go back to the Delambre home, and then Juan is very upset. Juan is like not having the fact that Patricia is here. She's like, girl, fuck you. So the dad is like, you gotta bring me home. You gotta bring me home to Canada. And Martin's like, all right. So he does all the things. He brings his dad back, and he lets his dad know, but Dad, I'm married. And his dad is like, what are you talking about? You can't. Oh my God. But they have a conversation about it.
I want a life of my own.
Strange. Albert told me the same thing. In those very words.
Al?
Albert's met a girl.
It's all right for him. He doesn't have my problems.
Martin, it won't work. What about her parents, her friends?
Her parents are dead. She has no friends. No one will come looking for her.
And then that's when we cut to the next day. We see Patricia in bed, which is something I'm going to tell you, get used to. I think this character spends the majority of the time in bed from now on, and not in a sexy way, just tired all the time, just constantly in the bed, sleeping, or dreaming, or frightened. Patricia comes downstairs to meet her new father-in-law. They meet each other, and then she starts to play the piano, because again, let's not forget, she was a piano expert. Juan sees this, and Juan is, I told you, she's throughout the whole movie. And Juan's like, oh, this stings Juan. And Juan goes outside with a plate of food and is going to go feed creatures in a cage. Creatures. And that's when we meet Patricia. That's when we meet Judith. Who is Judith? Well, Judith seems to be a creature, a monster. Is she a fly? Nope. Judith, Juan gives Judith some food. Judith, I guess, eats the food. No, she returns the food. Whatever she does. Either way, we meet Judith. So then the detective and the main warden, doctor, I don't know, of the mental hospital show up to the house to meet the Delambres. They found out where they were because of the hotel that they had stayed in Montreal, and they found Martin Delambre's address. And so they show up. We're looking for this woman. That's where they reveal to the family this was a mental institution. She escaped from a mental institution, and the father-in-law's like, oh!
Oh, that your daughter-in-law was being treated for a mental ailment.
She appears to have made a remarkable recovery since leaving your hands.
We will require a full release, of course.
You send the papers along in the post, Inspector. We'll sign anything you want.
But he defends his daughter-in-law. He's like, well, my son got married, and they're married now. You gotta leave him alone. You cannot do a niche. The detective's like, okay, well, hey, if you're married, I guess you're married, and we're gonna have to sign some release forms. Father-in-law's like, you better believe it. That's when we meet the detective from the first film, not played by the same actor, but now older. So again, when does this movie take place? I do not know. But he's blind. The new detective calls him up and goes, I want to try and get in touch with you about the Delambres. I know you're familiar with their former case, and the older detective is like, yes, I am. By the way, Martin Delambre married. What do you mean you met his new wife? And they're like, what? He goes, yes, she was married to a woman named Judith.
I'll check it, sir. What can you tell me about her?
Martin met her at the university. She's a brilliant girl, fine pianist, too. Her name is Judith.
So that's why we find out Judith, the creature in one of the cages, is actually Martin Delambre's first wife. What a trip, man. What a trip. So from there, we get a lot more of Patricia in the bed. She starts hearing this piano music playing. She's like, what is this beautiful sound? She goes downstairs and, oh, it's Judith. And we finally get to see Judith. My God, what is she? Is she a fly? Is she a horse creature? Is she an island of Dr. Monroeian? No, she is just kind of scarred face. She looks like Two-Face if Two-Face couldn't open this one eye. Run! The Juan comes in. Juan scares Trisha. She's like, ah. And so Judith was trying to play the piano because it turns out Judith was also a piano player. These two, they have things in common. Will that come into play? No. the two Delambres, they're like, we gotta get rid of the evidence. These detectives are onto us. We cannot let them mess up beautiful, beautiful experiments. So it turns out the other two creatures are their former assistants. Why these things happen to them? Why all these things? I do not know. Again, the father, seemingly his back got burnt. I don't know what that means. That's what happens to kind of everybody once they go in this machine. But they're like, we gotta get rid of this thing. And so they try to get rid of the evidence. One of the mutants breaks free, starts fighting Martin. It's a beautiful wrestling match. And getting them into the machine, they call up Albert and they're like, Albert, we're sending you some stuff. You gotta take care of it, bud. Albert's like, okay. What Albert thinks he's getting, they don't, Albert's just probably thinking like, oh, they're transporting equipment. I don't know. Nope. These two mutants fuse into each other. And he's like, ah! He gets an axe and he takes care of these two creatures. Oh, but that's not all he does. We'll return to that in a minute. We're back to Judith. Judith still constantly in bed. He's now showing the young detective. He's like, look at these. Look at this. This is what the Delambre family was. Fly! Shows him a photo of the fly. Who took this photo? Couldn't tell you. Don't know. Great photo of the human fly. And then also goes on to speak about what is the curse of the fly. The title! Turns out the curse of the fly is because flies only live for so long. Martin is aging rapidly and turning old. So when he became a prune man, that's what was happening. But he has a special serum that him and his father take to stay young. Who made this serum? Where'd it come from? Don't know. How does the old detective know about it? Don't know. Don't worry about that shit. So anyway, Judith gets loose. Judith gets loose. She decides she's going to take out Patricia. Does not. Ty, remember Ty, the actual Asian actor who could have been doing all the stuff Juan was doing, but did not. Ty comes in, kills Judith, and Juan's like, "Oh, what do we do?" And Ty's like, "We get rid of the evidence. We'll say she ran away. We'll just say she ran." So they dump her body in the transporter machine, and they get her out of there. And the Delambres come back home, and the Delambres are like, "Well, where'd she go? Where's Judith?" At that point, the detective's like, "I'm gonna come back over there," and the father's like, "We gotta get rid of everything. We gotta get rid of all the evidence. We cannot let our experiment." By the way, this whole experiment it's for transportation purposes. So many people have died. So many people have died. This family is forever cursed with a terrible, seemingly blood disease. For transportation, planes existed by the time this movie was made. Don't get me wrong. It's not comfortable to travel on a plane all the time. Come on, guys. So the dad's like, I'll go first. If I get through, I'll call you from London. You can send Judith through. We'll be great. We'll all be over here. The detective will come. None of us are here. Scot-free. Dad goes through. They're on the phone with Albert, and Albert's like, listen to me. They're not listening to him. They send the dad through. We cut back to Albert. My God, Albert not just killed the mutant, he also destroyed the machine. So what does that mean? Where's Dad? Is he just floating around in particle land? Is he the particle man? Stronger than Triangle Man? So the dad, what happened to him? We don't know. We can't say. Martin's about to send Patricia through when suddenly he gets hit with those pangs. Why he doesn't have his serum on him? Why he's in the house and there's no serum in the house? Couldn't tell you. Don't know. No idea. He's like, Patricia, help me! Falls down in the car. Turns into the prune man. This is the first time Patricia sees it. She's like, ah!
Help me! Help me!
Oh, no!
The detective shows up. He's like, what's going on? Where's anything? And she goes, in the car, Martin. He goes to the car, looks at Martin. Martin is now a skeleton. Apparently, the rapid aging also turned into rapid. The word has escaped my brain. Rapid deterioration. I found it. I found the word. It turns into a skeleton. And then that's the end. Curse of the Fly. First of all, no fly outside the photo. There's no fly. For the Fly box set to have a movie where there is in fact no fly is brave. For a movie studio and not have the fly, brave. I mean, like if I made a movie called The Curse of the Terminators and there's no Terminators in it, but the Terminators talked about, so I don't know. That's frustrating. There's some cool stuff in this movie though. It does look really good. There's some of the shots, again, the glass shot, some of the mutant stuff looks pretty cool. Other than that, I like old movies. I love old movies. I love old monster movies. I love how goofy they can be, how silly they are. This one just didn't do a lot for me. I don't understand why Judith had to be in a mental hospital. It doesn't seem to come into play. It's never played off like you would think they would play it off like she sees these creatures and the detective and other people are like, well, she is nuts. You know, you think they would play it like that. They would play it to a degree where it's like, oh, if this character is going to be that they escape from a mental institution, that nobody believes her. Nobody believes her. And they kind of do that because they have, when she sees these things and she tells her husband's like, you didn't see that. But her husband knows it to be true and he's lying to her. He's gaslighting her, which is not the same as like people who do not know these creatures exist. So there doesn't really seem to be a reason. And again, the second half of the movie, she spends it almost entirely in a bed. So you also sit there going like, this character is so inactive. Martin's a wet blanket. Like, you want to feel for him that he's like turning into an old creature and he has to continuously eject himself. It's basically, frankly, it's everything that the Cronenberg Fly does exactly right. You feel pity, you feel sadness, you feel these characters love each other. There's all this stuff going on. You know what? Watch the Cronenberg Fly. If you've never seen the Cronenberg Fly, a lot of people I think avoid it because they hear it's gross. It is gross. It's also heartbreaking. It's a beautiful movie. So there's my rec. Go see the Cronenberg Fly. I'm not telling you to avoid Curse of the Fly, but check it out. I think check it out. It's a fascinating movie. The wand stuff's not the 60s, man. The 60s. Also, like, he never tells his wife, you know, why he's turning into this thing. Like, she never finds out about the Curse of the Fly. A detective who's not related to the story really does. It's a thing. Thank you for watching this episode of Cameron Watches Everything. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. If you've seen this movie or any of the other Fly movies, let me know in the comments down below. There's been talk about another remake for years. Would you want to see it? Who would you want to see do it? Also, big thank you to my patrons. If you want to get these episodes a day early, go to patreon.com/Jurassic Alien. You can get these episodes early. You could also know what the next movie is going to be on Cameron Watches Everything. We got one more to go in spooky season. This one, a little different than the other three. Also, this beer is very good, very good, very, very, very good.